If you've recently been diagnosed with osteopenia or osteoporosis of the spine, you may have been told that the way that you're going to make the bone stronger is through jumping and impact. But what if you can't? In this video, I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do to help make your bones stronger and potentially reverse the effects of osteoporosis. Welcome to Fitness Integrated Science TV. I'm Lauren Irk, and in this video, I'm going to show you some exercises that you can do to help potentially reverse the effects of osteoporosis by making the bone in the spine stronger. The first thing I want you to think about when you're trying to reverse bone loss is, can I deal with my body weight? That's so important, and we tend to leave that out. Yes, we want to lift weights, but weight right now starts in the body. So for the first thing, if I can come from a sitting position in the chair, lean forward and stand back up without falling and lift my chest up, that is the first exercise I want you to do, just some sitting to standing. When you're sitting in the chair, work on lifting from your chest, shift your weight into your feet, keep that chest lifted, and power yourself up through your legs. You may have to bring your hands to the chair in the beginning in order to come through this exercise. Over time, see if you can do this exercise without the use of your hands. You may have to go slow, you may be able to go quickly. You may have to limit your number of repetitions. Over time, you may be able to just tap the chair and come to standing so that you are actually under tension for a longer period of time. Now, when you feel like you're strong enough to get up and out of the chair and your posture is starting to improve, now we're ready to add load. So if I take a dumbbell into my hand and I place this dumbbell out in front of the body, you can absolutely feel that the dumbbell is pulling me forward. So just the sheer fact of holding this object in front of my body is going to drive a lot of that thoracic extension, which is one of the first places that starts to exacerbate or get more and more pronounced as we age. So drawing your spinal column in and lifting your chest will also benefit that lumbar curve, which may have flattened out over time. So now as I shift my weight underneath me, now with added load, I may not be so quick about standing up. Coming back into the chair, I may have to take my time. But you can definitely tell that by having this weight in front of my chest, it is next to impossible for me to perform this exercise and slouch at the same time. Over time, you may be able to tap the chair and then stand back up, which again is going to put more tension into my spine because I don't get that rest break of sitting back down into the chair. Keeping that sternum lifted, shoulders back. This is a wonderful exercise to start with. Now, once you've got that sort of momentum going and you're starting to become more aware of your postures, the next state is to think about how would I maintain this and push objects over my head. If you try to round your back and push your shoulders into flexion, it's next to impossible. And this is where a lot of people end up becoming more dependent with having to have tools and things just to get things out of cabinets. So for the first step, again, I would say lifting through your chest. Then my exercise number 2, which is the overhead press. Just starting with body weight. Can you reach your arms over your head without putting too much stress on your shoulders? See how far. Maybe you're only here today, right? See where you are mechanically bringing your arms over your head, both unilaterally as well as bilaterally. Over time, we want to definitely start to incorporate load, and for the same reasons that we talked about in the seated squat. Starting off in the frontal plane, we might want to come into this abducted position. Now, pushing weight over the head, you can see that my shoulder is elevating up into the ear, and then it's dropping out of the neck. But let's just say that this abducted position doesn't feel good. Then for the first step, I want you to bring your elbows slightly out in front of you, or maybe really far out in front of you, working on just moving the weights up at a mid-range. Now you're going to notice again that the more the weight moves above the shoulder, the more it's going to drive that thoracic extension. In other words, not sagging, right? Now from here, over time, we may be able to move the shoulders into more and more flexion, reaching those arms over the head until eventually we may be all the way up here. You're going to feel this compression, which we call axial compression, all the way down the spine into your lower back. And I know for myself, when I was in my 20s, the first personal training job I ever got, I was told that most women can't do the machines where you're pushing weight over the head. And I remember thinking to myself, well, that's crazy, right? Don't be one of those women. All right, so after we do that, my third exercise is definitely going to be the bent over row, because we definitely have to deal with this forward shoulder syndrome that happens as a result of not working on thoracic extension. So if you come up to a chair to begin with, keeping that thoracic extension, bend from the hips and then use the chair for support. That's going to be the first order of business. Taking one hand off the chair, body weight only, work on retracting the scapula and protracting the scapula. See if you're comfortable doing that, keeping your spine nice and strong. Can you even take this hand off the chair and hold it there? You're going to feel direct load across that lower back. Over time, add the dumbbell. So now as I retract the scapula, I feel added load going into my muscles. And when the muscles become stronger to deal with this weight, guess what? The muscles will tug on the bone, which really drives bone growth. Over time, I want to move that weight towards me, coming into that rowing motion. Scapula coming into the back, elbow coming into flexion, and the dumbbell moving towards the body. Over the years, this has always been my go-to exercise. I love rowing exercises, and I would definitely recommend doing this, that same progression, starting off with body weight on this side, and then eventually adding the dumbbell, seeing if I can do this, and then eventually moving into that rowing motion. And I would be comparing how I'm moving from right to left. Many times we don't see muscular dysfunction until we have an injury or we have a syndrome like frozen shoulder or something like that. So the bent over row is great. After a while, when you don't need the chair, I could use my body for a little bit more support. Then eventually I might be able to do both weights at the same time. But this again is not only going to be putting pressure in my shoulders, but also in my lower back. And I always get these questions about, how many repetitions should I do? It's not a magical number. If you're trying to build muscle, you want to be doing between 8 to 12 repetitions, to where at the end of the 12 repetitions, you're somewhat fatigued. But we might really want to make sure that all those repetitions are sound. We just want to go start counting until we really know what we're doing. If we want to build bone, maybe just a few reps is all we need in the beginning. Over time, we may want to do more. But if you're upwards of 30 repetitions and you're not feeling any resistance at all, you may want to consider the fact that I might want to lift a little bit more weight. Now for my fourth exercise, I'm going to do what's called the farmer's carry. Now, I'll be honest with you. Over the years, I thought this particular exercise was kind of dumb, because I was like, well, we're just holding something and walking around. But if I've looked at it over a period of time, I get why it's popular. If I have a weight in each one of my hands, let's say that I am in the airport and I'm holding a suitcase, it is pulling me down to the floor. So I have to work to sit up straight to be able to walk through the airport and hold this luggage. And you can certainly do this farmer's carry, just walking up and down your house if you have a long hallway, or maybe you can go outside and walk down the street. Just holding this, this is going to cause you to not slouch and drive that thoracic extension. But one of the things that I love to do with the farmer's carry, I like to take one weight and put it in my hand. Now this is a heavier weight, and I can feel pulling me to the side. So as I hold on to it and try to stay upright, it is forcing my lateral flexors on the opposite side to have to kick in to not side bend. So now when I walk, I am continuously aware as this weight moves around and I feel it moving through my feet and through my spine, that I'm having to do a lot of dynamic changes. My muscles are having to contract on demand to be able to keep myself upright. Then if I just change it to the other side, I immediately feel feedback over here. This is really awesome for those of you that maybe have some really painful scoliosis as a result of osteoporosis, or some spondylolisthesis, where the vertebrae have actually slipped. This is not actually requiring you to go into side bend, but you're having to use those muscles, work on spinal stabilization. So I hope that helps with those 4 exercises. Doing those regularly will enable you to do other functional activities throughout your day and potentially harder exercises like sit-ups and push-ups and planks. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I always love to hear from those of you that are watching my videos. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Share it with anybody that you know that could benefit from this content. And if you want more help, I have whole programs that I've developed through the Fitness Integrated Science TV platform that are designed to deal just with spinal osteoporosis that will help take you from isolation work to integration work, from body weight to adding weight. Fitness Integrated Science TV. Also, make sure that you're signed up for my weekly newsletter. It comes in free from your inbox. I appreciate you watching this channel, and I will see you next time.